Hi, welcome back to another new tutorial in this learning C++ journey. In this video, we are going to look at some of the useful functions that can you use from string.h library for C-type strings and from string library for your class of strings. So let's have a look. Alright, so we are here in our compiler. So first of all, let's start with the C-type string. So we have character array. So let's say we have a name of 20 size. So to take in input from user, you will use cin.get, where you will pass name and the size of your array. Okay. So after that, you can print that as well. Okay, let's run this program. So I'll say here. As you guys can see that we have a proper input and proper output. So why I use cin.get instead of cin? Because with the help of cin.get, you will read space characters as well in your input. Otherwise, it will ignore the whole string after the space character and you will just get Sayyad in your output. Okay. What you can do with the help of string.h library is that you can use a lot of functions. So we will have look at some of them. For example, if you want to print the reverse string. So I will use str reverse and you will pass your name. Now it is received there as the pointer to the character. So it will change everything on the memory. So we do not need any kind of receiving variable to get the returning value. So everything is done with the help of pass by reference. So now let's print our C out and we will just put some text that will be initialized, so we don't have to write each and every time. So it will save some time and it will help us to understand much quicker. Okay, let's print our name. So name print. So as you guys can see that it is printed in reverse order. So it can be useful in the practice problem, like if you want to find that the given string is a palindrome or not. Okay. Next thing that you can use in this is that you can use str length. So you can find the size of your name as well. So we will print some data here. So let's see out and string length. So it will return the length of the array. So as you guys can see, we got 11. Now if you want to add two strings, for example, I have another string that is from name 2 and let's say I name it as to name. So if I want to concatenate two strings, what I will use is that str concatenate function. So what I'll pass is two arguments. So it is going to be str concatenation. Okay, now I will pass first name and second name. Okay, name 2 as well. So what will happen that the compiler will receive these two pointers. So it will transfer this whole character into this array as well. So what you will get the name. So when you print out the name variable again, so we just left the semicolon here. Okay, let's see. Now as you guys can see, hello world with the to name is also printed. So this is what we meant by string concatenation. Now you can use other functions from this library. So this was just the basic introduction to the inbuilt library of the character arrays. So it can be very useful in programming as well. Now let's have a look at the some of the functions of the string class string. So we will name it as a name. First of all, I will have two strings, string, and we will have name 2 as well. Now to take input, I will print a message enter name 1. So I'll take input from user and what is the procedure? Get line, and we will pass the name and sorry, not the name, but cin and the name of the string. Then after that we will say cout enter name 2. So here we will enter the data into our second string. Okay, so C in and name 2. Okay, and we will see out the name 1 and del with C out name 2. Okay, and del. Now let's run this program. So name 1, let's say I have Sayyid Shahir, and name second is Ul Haq. So Sayyid Shahirul Haq, we have got our full name. So up until now we got some inputs from user. Now what do you want? If you want to concatenate two strings, for example, if you want this string to have something else, so what you can do is name is equals to name plus name 2. Okay, now let's print out our name. So let's see Sayyid Muhammad Shahirul Haq, and we will say no name. So what do we get is that Shahirul Haq and no name. So what you can use instead of using the whole what do we call it, the string concatenation function, as we did for the character strings like C type strings, you can just only use the plus sign. So if you are learning Python or you have some familiarity with Python, you can do this same in Python as well. Okay. What are strings? So as we discussed in our basic tutorial of string, that strings are dynamic type arrays. So it readjusts itself according to the size it enters. So what we have learned so far is taking input and concatenation of two string. Now what I'll do here is that I'll initialize this string with some data, and we will perform some operations on it. So A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and spacebar, dash, etc. So we have some mix kind of symbols, characters, and numbers going on. Okay, so what I'll do here is that I want to find the length of the string. So what I can do here is that C out, I will use name dot len length. So what it will give us is the length of the string. So here you have it, the 11 is the length of our string. Now next thing that what you want to do is to find the capacity of your string. So let's type capacity. So capacity will tell you what is the current capacity of your character array, how many values can it store. So as you guys can see, it is 15 now. But if I want to add something else to this name, so I'll say name dot append function, and I'll pass some kind of string. Let's say A, B, C, D, E, F. Now let's print our name. So our name has been printed and the new text has been appended into it. But let's see what's the capacity now after we appended this new value. So let's say name dot capacity, and we will print this. Okay, so let's see what we get. Now as you guys can see, the capacity is printed as 30. So this is how the dynamic array works. Okay, so according to the input that it receives from user, it readjusts its size and its capacity. For example, initially it was 15, then when it receives the data and it exceeded the limit of 15, so it expanded itself up to the size of 30. Then after 30 it will do 45, then 60, and so on. So this is how the dynamic array works, that it is flexible and it can adjust its capacity based on the data it receives in future as well. So it can be flexible for large data sets as well, or data sizes. Okay, so let's say if you want to reverse your string. Okay, so what you will do is to include this library hash include algorithm, and there is a function in this library that is called reverse. So what we will pass to this reverse function is basically the first position and the last position, or the first iteration and the last iterator. Okay, so let's pass. So name dot begin will pass the first iterator, and name dot end will pass the last iterator. Now if we print the name here, we will get the opposite output. So let's see. Okay, we just didn't write the semicolon at the end of statement. Now as you guys can see, it is the opposite of what we have initialized here. Okay, so this is how you can reverse your string as well. Now, here is another concept. What if you have a string of multiple inputs like A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and some symbols, etc. And you have a project or some kind of calculations in which you need only numbers in your string. So you have to filter out all this data from it. So what you will do is to include the CC type library, and here is another thing, that there is a function called isDigit which will check each and every character of this string, and it will return a bool value. That, like, if it is a digit, it will return true. If it is not a digit, it will return false. Okay, so let's demonstrate that how will it work. So let's say we have a name. So let's comment this function. Now first of all, we need a for loop. So for loop, here is a range based for loop you can use. So the range based for loop actually works like this, that character, and we say the name is C. So it is going to be an iterator over this range, and we will specify the variable or the array here. So we will use name. So this is our array. So basically what will be happening, so this is equivalent to integer I is equals to 0, I less than equals to size of the array, and then we have I plus plus, and we have the loop where array of I and blah blah blah. Okay, so the whole for loop has been replaced by only this range based for loop. So this is very useful, and you will see these kind of loops in Python a lot. Okay, now let's say what I want to do is that with the help of this for loop I can iterate over all these elements. Now what will I do? I will use if statement. If C if C if is digit and pass the C is equals to true, or we can say 1, then what you can do is that we will have an empty string like string only numbers. Okay, so only numbers, we will say only numbers plus equals to the C. So what does it mean? That it will check if that C is a digit. If it is a digit, store it in the only numbers. If it is not a digit, it will just ignore them. Okay, so we will have a new string C out only numbers. So let's have a look and let's test out our logic. So what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's working totally fine. So it filtered out all of the other characters like A, B, C, D, E, F, and everything else, and it just got you the 1, 2, 3, 4, the numbers only. So it can be very useful, and plus the new thing that you learn is the range based for loop. So it can be very handy. It is like a shorthand of writing the lengthy code of for loop for iterations over the array. So you can use for integers as well. You have to just replace this character with a int. So this was it for this tutorial. You can explore more functions and methods of strings and C-type strings as well. So I'll meet you guys in the next video, in which we are going to create a really interesting project. So I'll meet you guys there.